sometimes in April 2017, to be precise, April 14, 2017. So, but 1 month later, Microsoft already released the patch. So what I want from you, try and download. There are quite a number of Windows that are available to this, but all those exploits are not available on Metasploit. So some you need to write a custom script, a Python script to tweak so that you'll be able to gain Metasploit shell. So for this lab, I've installed Windows Server 2008, release 2, 64-bit. And so let me go to my Kali Linux and run a vulnerability scan with my Python Nmap, or I can use the Nmap. So okay, this is my machine. Let me be sure. Windows Server 2008. Where is the machine, right? Okay, this is Windows Server 2008. I don't know whether you can see my screen. Let me be sure. I want to be sure. Okay, I think you should be able to see the screen, right? So this is my Windows Server 2008. So I disabled the firewall so that I will be able to reach it from my Kali box, or I can allow the IP address of my Kali box. So this is the, let me confirm the IP config. I think it's 190.60.40.158. So let's run an assessment. Hold on, let me be sure. The 155. So I want to run a vulnerability assessment on this guy to be sure whether it's vulnerable to EternalBlue vulnerability. So what is the value for the EternalBlue vulnerability? This is CVV value, right? And this is the vulnerability number. So these are the version of Windows that are vulnerable to this. Let's see whether, okay, so while that is running, at the end of the day, so why that is running, I will show you the vulnerabilities. So let's see how to look for the vulnerability. So let's go to the Metasploit by typing MSF console. Okay, as that one is opening up, as you can all see, there are quite a number of vulnerabilities on this guy. Okay, this is the vulnerability number for EternalBlue, remote code execution vulnerability in Metasploit. Sorry, in Microsoft SMB version. So the server is vulnerable to EternalBlue vulnerability. So now that we've identified, let's presume that we've do the enumeration, you've seen the server, you've discovered the vulnerabilities. Now that you want to do some post-implementation, you want to get a privileged access. So the EternalBlue vulnerabilities allows you to gain a remote access, privileged, high-level privileged access to your target machine. And if you have a privileged access, can do undo. So if I want to search for EternalBlue, sorry, that's that. So let's use this particular exploit. You can just say use tool. For you to know how this exploit can be leveraged on, you can say show options. You need to set up this is my Kali, the localhost. This is the airports. You need to also specify the host. The host has not been specified. So let's specify the host, set remote host to 192.168.40.155, right? So let's show the various payload available. These are the various payload available. So let's set the payload to this one. So because we want to do a reverse TCP share. So as soon as we set up payload, I think we can start our exploitation. Let me show the options again. Let me be sure whether okay, this has been set. This has been set. Let's show the targets. You can see this vulnerability on Metasploit. You can only do direct exploit on Windows 7 or Windows Server 2008 release 2. So if you want to do this exploitation on other version of Windows, apart from this one displayed there, you can do some custom scripting, some Python scripting so that you'll be able to do that. So, but let's at least we are working on Windows Server 2008. So what you need to do, type exploit. So as you can see, you can see that we've gained the meta shell. Meta shell. So let's see whether we are right. You can see the computer name is this, and so let's proceed with the post implementation. So now that we've gotten the privilege escalation, so the Windows So you can try the same thing on Windows 7, or you can do some customization. If you couldn't gain a share with the Python scripting. So as you can imagine, there are many other types of commands and tools that we can use to get similar or more detailed information. For example, when dealing with the Windows machine, we may want to run system info. While on Linux, we may have plenty of commands to use. So depend on the version of the operating system. So let's inspect this later on. So once we know the type of machine we are dealing with, we can start thinking about our maintaining access activities. In this phase, we make sure that our session is stable, does not get dropped, privilege along with high privileges, persistent through reboot. One of the main issues when you get a metapita session on the target is that the end user can kill the exploited process. It can happen, for example, when you exploit a client-side vulnerability through the web browser, and you just close the web browser window. To avoid losing the session at the target, one of the first tasks to perform is to migrate the session to another process. It's very, very important because if you are targeting a web application, maybe a browser, and the user just close the browser, your vulnerability will be, your exploitation will be terminated. So to avoid that, it's always good to migrate from one session to another. Before seeing the migration commands, it is useful to know that giving help command in the metapita or specific type question mark with enter key, you can get to. So let's try this. So you want to get used to the metapita environment. You can also type the help command. So these are the various commands. You can take your time. Having gained your metapita share, take your time to study all these commands and make sure that you can play with it. You can see there's an ARP, there's so many commands. You know. If I want to look at what is on my MAC address table, just type ARP. You know. So there are a lot of things that you can do. If you want to do screenshots, you type screenshots. If you want to do a lot of stuff, you can navigate from one directory to another. If you want to know your parents' working directory, you can see that you are working on system 32. So many things. If you want to know the learning process on the Windows machine, you type the. So just play with the with it. So play with the help menu. Moreover, we have very useful metapita script that we can use to execute the face of our penetration data. You can list them by typing run and then press tab 2. So if you want to, yeah, so let's try that. All right, so if you want to, back to our goal of making our session stable, to let Metasploit automatically migrate to another process, you can use the following command. If you want to migrate, you run this command, right, to do that migration. let's migrate so that in case if the user terminates the session, you should be able to keep, because you need to maintain. So we migrated the session. So if the user, let's presume that the server now terminated the session, so whenever we can always maintain a stable session. So this automatically migrate to another process. You can use the following command. So just run for post Windows manage migrate. So from there, you can get to as you can see, you'll be able to migrate to another session, and we establish cover our track so that we will not just get kept on trying over and over. We are the mercy of the. So that is the current. There are a lot of commands that you can play with. So as you can see, the Metasploit script automatically migrate to another process. It is important to know that the process of which we migrate will always be a process with the same privilege as the current session, and that the process name is notepad.tsl. So you want to see the list of all processes running on the machine. I think I've displayed this. You just type yes. So this will display all the process. And so although the previous command worked just fine, we can directly run migrate to the Metasploit session. This time, however, you have to provide the process ID or the process name you want to migrate to. So you can specify the particular process ID you want to migrate to. So if you want to get the higher privilege, the highest privilege, so you just say get system. You use the get system command. So that's how to escalate your privilege with the Metasploit. So by default, the get system tries all available techniques to escalate privilege. If a technique fails, it will try the next one until one of the available techniques works. If you want to run a specific technique, simply use the -T. So you now specify the session. So when the UAC is enabled on the remote system, bypass UAC is one of the modules we can use to bypass this. So how do you use this? You type this command, run Let's try this out. So please make sure that you're trying it out as I'm doing it. So I believe should have gotten your share and Metasploit share by now. As you can see that you can do and undo as you get familiarized with Metasploit. So what we can do then is use some of the modules offered by Metasploit to bypass the UAC protection mechanism. You can list them by simply search it, string bypass, and all of that. So there's a whole lot that you can do with the Metasploit. There's a whole lot. So you can select the bypass. That's going to be VPS module since it is the newest module. You can set the session ID on which the module will be executed before you run the module. So there are different ways of just do by which you can set this. But I don't want to lose my share. So I think I've displayed how to use another powerful Metasploit extension that we can use in this phase for window escalation privileges. We can also use the incognito. It was a standard to use to demonstrate security issues affecting Windows token. But due to its functionality and features, it has been integrated into Metasploit. So tag to incognito, we can impersonate other valid users tokens on the machine and became that user. The best thing is that we do not need to know or crack password to do this. You can imagine being able to switch from one user to another, give us a possibility to access different local or domain user. So how do you load the incognito? It's very simple. Once we have a Metasploit session, better with system privilege, you can run the following command to load the incognito extension. So for you to load it, you just type use incognito. So what's happening? Maybe doesn't exist on this module. What happens? I think we need to install it. So you want to list all the available tokens. You type list underscore tokens. Because the incognito modules refuse to work, so that's why we couldn't do that. So there are a lot of things that you can do with your Metasploit. So take your time and look through the help menu. So you can also, if you can navigate to where your SAM file is, you can use it to dump the content of the SAM database. So let's presume that let's do an LS. Sorry. I'm looking for some sensitive new commands. So there's a lot that you can do with this. Go through the help menu. So that's the highest step. I think we've gotten the highest privilege on this. So you can use hash dump if you can get the location of the SAM on Windows. Let me just say SAM file location on Windows 2000. I think I need to change to config. Config, right? As you can see, those are that are to dump the hash function for the SAM file. So I can now go and figure out how to crack this file, right? So there's a whole lot that you can do with this. So there are a lot of but after all, we've even gotten the highest privilege, so we don't need to crack any. But should in case the privilege and you got is not the highest, but with the Metasploit share, and if you migrate your session, you can do a whole lot. You can do a whole lot. So that's how to hack, how to maintain access and do some post-permission activities. Have you gotten your access, and make sure that you migrate your session so that your session will not be terminated by the end users. So let me just quickly. So if you want to do on some other Windows, maybe if you realize that if you click on if you type show target, let me just show you how to establish a Metasploit Windows XP 32-bit. And then for that one, you need to do some custom, or you can just download the Python script, or you can so modify it, because you will not see the exploit for Windows 32-bit, or you can also leverage on MSF Venom first, so that you'll be able to create that. So or you can leverage on Python. You can use the you can run a Python server to establish that. So there are a lot of things that you can do with your Python. You can customize your stuff further. At the end of the day, the end goal is to gain a Metasploit share. So you can use a Python to do some tweaking. Should in case if that is not available, the Metasploit shell is not available on your Metasploit, but it's available for Windows 7, but not all version of Windows 7. I think also available for Windows 2008 server, Windows XP, only the 64 bits. That is the Metapita shell is available. But that doesn't mean that you can't gain a shell. You can gain a shell or do some further tweaking of your payload. So for the classwork, so kindly download various versions of old Windows servers. Like this is where I got my Windows server. Where is this guy? So this is where I got Windows Server 2008. I got most of it from that kind of hub. And download that ISO file and install it on your Kali. Install it on your virtual machine or Oracle box, Oracle virtual box. But for consistency, to try this course, I purposely use VirtualBox. Sorry, I purposely make use of VMware workstation. So just can stick to that so that you don't miss anything. So definitely you can maybe on your own. There is nothing bad if you have a different lab, and you can see it. So you can also try the same thing on the various version of vulnerable OS. You can leverage on the Metasploit table, run a vulnerability scan on the Metasploit table, just the way we did on the server 2008. Look at the vulnerabilities and do a Metasploit. Make sure that you're able to establish a meta share on your Metasploit table. So that's for the classwork. And document your work and try that for variant of different variant of operating system. So I think that's all for now. So at this point, you should have the methodology and the skill set necessary to perform a thorough penetration testing on a remote network. Make sure to refer to